New York City might be getting a peek into its economic future. London tried taxing second homes and luxury properties, and, well, the housing market crashed. Prime London home values have dropped more than 20% since 2015, while high-end transactions are down about 55% year over year. International buyers, who once made up nearly half of prime London ownership, have redirected investments to Dubai and Barcelona. Rents hitting record highs as supply overall is shrinking. So the socialist experiment failed in London, but wait for it, Mayor Mamdani and Governor Hochul there are still betting it works in New York City. Charles, is this a cautionary tale?
Yeah, it's one of many cautionary tales, but I don't think these folks care about cautionary tales. You know, it just blows my mind. So London, it saw a mass exodus of bankers leave the city, and a lot of them went to Milan. It's amazing. So Milan is looking beautiful. They're building new, skyscrapers and economic centers, and the city is depleted. And it's just, when we watch these things in real time, it's not like old lessons. It's not some lesson that our grandparents learned and somehow it wasn't passed down. This has happened over the last 2 or 3 years. It's just this singular focus on an ideology that supersedes intelligence and logic and common sense. So,
Brian, I come to you because I'm wondering if this is exactly what Mayor Mamdani and Hochul want. They say they look at international buyers who are out of London, and then the Londoners can say, drove you out, this is my town, get out, I don't need you, I don't want you. And is that sort of the card that Mamdani, great, we don't want you anyways, we want to take back this town, and maybe we'll burn it to the ground, we don't know, but you're bad, you're evil, get out.
Well, when we ask the question, will Mamdani learn a lesson from this? I feel like we forget who he appointed as his housing point person, Sia Weaver. Do you remember the name Sia Weaver? Do you remember the line that white people are going to have a different relationship to property?
Yep.
She's the person who wants to force foreclosures on landlords. So what happens? The city acquires the property. He doesn't care. If he was going to learn a lesson, Charles, you made this point, you got the Soviet Union, you got North Korea, you got Venezuela, you got Cuba, he would have learned a lesson by now. The lesson of London is not what not to do, it's what he wants to do. That's the problem, and he's appointing people who are crazy enough to do it. So he's not going to learn a lesson until voters tell him you're not in a position to make decisions. Until they do that, he's going to do what communists do, just like they did in London, just like they did in the Soviet Union, just like they did in North Korea, just like they did in Cuba, et cetera.
And Jackie, I don't see any voters who have soured on him. I know some of the poll numbers have come in low for him, but the voters who voted for him, I think they're still happy with the job he's doing.
Well, I walk around every day in this town and I look at people and I think to myself, I wonder if you voted for him. It's actually a bad road. It's a bad road to go down. But what strikes me is I don't think Mamdani cares about the health of this economy. I don't think he cares about the health of the New York City housing market. I think he is in the market of burning it down. There's no other way to say that than to stand in front of Ken Griffin's penthouse and dox him the way he did. And I apologize if you guys did this yesterday, but Griffin was in Oslo and he made some comments. He said, I think the willingness of Mayor of New York to make this policy debate a personal attack just demonstrated a profound lack of judgment. And it's Griffin that wants to sit down with Hochul because Hochul has some control over some of the decisions and funding that Mamdani, the sort of the power and reign he has to do what he wants to do. So we'll see what happens there. But Griffin also went on to say, I don't know, and I'm paraphrasing here, I don't know what the United States or this group of people thinks that they're going to get right about socialism, that we've seen this before, it doesn't work. So what do they think they're going to get right? I think that's actually, even though he's a very smart man, sort of the wrong way to look at it. I don't think they're aiming to get it right in any way. I just think they're aiming to do it. So the same exact thing happens. And part of this burning it to the ground, whether it's California with Newsom or it's here with Mamdani, is to level the playing field. He doesn't want there to be value or wealth. He wants actual wealth destruction. And that's what these policies do. So, you know, when I walk around and I look at people and I think to myself, I wonder if you voted for him. I wonder if you voted for him. I hope you don't own an apartment here. I hope you don't, you know, have sort of a vested interest in being here, because I've been saying this for years, and people on the left will say, you're insane. This is never going to happen. I've been saying these Democrats are going to come for you and your stuff, and they're doing it.
Dagan, is Hochul going to be the saving grace?
No, she's a moron. She's only made to look a little bit smarter by Zohran Mamdani, who, again, never underestimate the arrogance or the idiocy of an inexperienced spotlight-seeking Nepo baby. And that would be Zohran Mamdani. London is actually a fascinating test case for what could happen, maybe will happen in New York City and other major cities in the United States. I just quickly, I know we were getting the rap, but go just a few of the things that London did, and it's not just about trying to stick it to the rich. And this was a piece in The Spectator by a writer named Sean Thomas about the London property market beginning to implode. And it was written at the beginning of this year. So the Labour government, the Labour Party there, the Liberals, abolished the non-domiciled status to plug their budget black hole, which means that they went after the assets and the income of people who don't live full time in London and England. So that's very similar to what Zohran Mamdani is trying to do with the double taxation on apartments. So the millionaires ended up leaving for Milan, Dubai, wherever. They sold their townhouses in London. That triggered a glut. But there was a new mansion tax by Labour that made it worse. Then look at the suburbs. The Labour Party added a value-added tax on private school fees. Again, so stick it to the wealthy. The squeezed middle-class families, already mortgaged to the hilt, then couldn't find the extra £220,000 per child, and they sold their properties and then headed for the shires. And it just is this cycle of, again, it's not just about the super rich, it is the marginally wealthy, and then it just all starts falling because the asset prices of everything that everyone owned in London proper just is collapsing in on themselves. And look out, Big Apple.
Look out below. I want to talk about a stock that is not looking out below.